Yo, what is good, guys? It is Grubs SQ here back to share some more stories with you guys with the third video in this story time series that I have started. So this time, I definitely plan on sharing two stories, definitely, with you guys. The third one, I'm not so sure yet, depending on the time, how long this video is going to be. I might share or I might not. So the first two stories, one is a little, happier, more kind of lighthearted, and the other one is more crazy or kind of insane to think about. I'll start with the crazy one, with the more intense kind of one. It's actually happened kind of recently. It's not one of the kind of like foggy childhood memories, like my other story that I did about memories that I have kind of like way in the past when I was like little, when I was maybe a child. Stuff that I don't really remember, but like they're just sitting there. They're just memories that I kind of have. This is more recent. I remember this very vividly. So this involves another kind of car accident, but it doesn't involve any of our cars. Well, it does, but it doesn't. You'll see what I'm saying. Anyway, so this was actually very scary at the time that this happened. So one day, this was maybe like a good 3 or 4 months ago, before we were in quarantine. Like if you're watching this way in the future, in 2020 we're in quarantine because of the sickness that's going around, right? Anyway, so this was like before we were quarantined, right? This was like 3 months, no, actually more than that, probably like 4 or 5 months back. I was just sitting, kind of doing my own thing. I forgot what I was doing. I did forget that. I don't know what I was doing at the time that this happened, but I was just kind of doing something random, right? And all of a sudden, all that I hear from I'm in my room, and then my parents' room is like maybe 20 feet away. Oh yeah, 20, 15 feet. It's a little bit away, right? So what I hear from there is just a giant crash. Like, think of a bang, right? I immediately in my mind assumed that it was a crash from a car, right? That unique sound that comes from a car just slamming into something full force. That's the initial thought that happened in my head, right? So when I heard that, I got scared. I was like, dude, that just happened in my house. What in the world is going on? So I freaked out. I ran out of my room. I went to look into my parents' room, because literally it sounded, I am serious when I say this, it sounded like a car crashed in and drove through my parents' room. That's the way that sound sounded to me, right? So I thought that the car came in and potentially ran over my parents in their room. I was terrified. So I sprinted over. I was like, yo, what the heck happened? And my parents were freaking out too. They're like, dude, we don't know what happened. There was just a huge crash. And we were all freaking out. And then my little brother came out from his room asking, like, what the heck was that? What's happening? Like, is everybody okay? We checked up on each other. We were like, yeah, we're fine, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we got to figure out what's going on, because that was very loud and that was very close to the house. So we don't know anything that's going on. We just know that something crashed, something happened very serious, because it was super, super loud and super, super close, and it was definitely a car, right? So I want to go outside to check what happened, right? It was definitely a car. In my mind, I have no doubt that it's a car, right? So in my head, I'm like, okay, I gotta go outside and check up on what's going on, right? I don't care if it's like, I don't know, some guy that stole a car, right? I want to be outside and I want to see what's going on. My dad didn't let me, right? Obviously, because he wants to keep me safe. He didn't want me to go outside and potentially have some car thief who is armed come at me and hurt me, right? Potentially kill me even, God forbid that the guy has a gun, right? Or a knife. And he's just going crazy. He's just trying to get away. He doesn't want to get caught, right? That would be the mindset of a car thief. I don't care who I need to kill. I need to get out, and I need to like make sure nobody sees me and this and that. Any witnesses, I kill, right? So he didn't let me go out. I really wanted to go out and see who the guy was, because obviously we were gonna have to file a police report. We're gonna have to talk to the authorities, tell them what happened, give them a description of the guy. I was thinking about all of this, but obviously my dad didn't let me. However, my brother did manage to slip through. He opened the door, right, the front door, and we have kind of like a metal door and then like a wooden door in front of that. So he opened the wooden door, he opened the metal door. My dad was yelling at him like, yo, get your butt back over here, you're not going outside, dude. Like, he was just super, super mad. He was worried for my brother, because the guy could have been out there with, like, you know, who knows what. But my brother obviously didn't listen. He just wanted to take a peek. He peeked out of the door, and this is what he said. He said, "Yo, he's running! He's running! Yo, the dude's running!" And I was like, "Yo, what? What? He's running, right? Are you saying that right?" He was like, "Yeah, he's running. He's just taking off." And so the dude was still there, right? I thought he was gone by this time. I thought he would have been gone, but he saw him run, and I was just thinking, dude, like my brother lucked out, right? The dude is running. He might have gotten a solid description of the guy. He might be able to say, give an accurate description to the police so they can catch him, whoever he is. And so I didn't get to see anything. All I knew was that my brother peeked out, he saw the guy running, and then he just came back in, right? He closed the door. He didn't play his luck. He didn't chase the guy or anything, because obviously he didn't. I don't think there was no possibility that he would have stolen something. He just kind of drove the car in. Well, I didn't know at the time it was a car, but I assumed it was a car. Okay, so he came back in. The police obviously were called. All the neighbors kind of we were freaking out. We were like, that did not just happen. And so a little time passed. We were inside. We called the police. We told them what was going on. Let me just check really quick my treasure. I need 200, and then I'm gonna go farm. Okay, I'm over 200 already. I'm gonna go farm the pudding in the story event. So our neighbors eventually, well, actually the police rolls up first, right? The police rolls up, and then they're checking up on us. They're like, oh, okay, what happened here, this and that. I was inside. I decided, I forgot why I was inside, whether my family told me to stay inside or I just didn't want to be a part of it. I forgot why. I was inside when the police came in, rolled up to the site, to our house. And so the police rolled up. They spoke to my dad. My dad was outside speaking to them. Is there a bonus for this stage? I guess not. There isn't. I guess I'll just use my Trunks friends. I like using this Trunks as friend because there's so many of him just sitting around. I have a ton of friends like this just in my friends list that use the Tech Trunks, and that's how I pretty much rack up the friend points so I can just a little tip for you guys. If you ever need Zenny, friend summons can really help you out a lot, because they typically give you, if you do like 10 multis just back to back, you will get like a sizable amount of Hercule statues, and that will really boost your Zenny. Easily get like 50, 70 million Zenny just off of Hercule statues. So make sure your friends list is sizable, and you can use those friends to rack up friend points, so you can not struggle with Zenny. Also Easy A's. Easy A's are pretty important for Zenny as well. If you go beyond level 30, you start getting those really nice Hercule statues, and you start racking up some nice Zenny from that. So anyway, the police roll up. My dad's outside talking to the police, telling them what happened, anything we heard. My brother then went out and talked to them about what he saw, how he described the guy. And I forgot what he told them. I think he just saw the clothes he was wearing, and pretty much just like he didn't actually see the guy's face or like his appearance or any of that. So that was kind of disappointing. We could have gotten an accurate description. So the police was there. I came outside because I wanted to see the whole thing, right? I wanted to see what happened. And by the time I came out, you can just see there was like 3 patrol cars just there, kind of examining the scene, questioning people, questioning witnesses. And then people were rolling up. Our neighbors were rolling up. They were asking us if we were okay. They were really worried too, because this is like a pretty big thing. And so what I saw when I came out was so it was a gray Nissan, right? It was a gray Nissan. That was the model of the car. And it just, I hope this guy gets pudding. Oh my god, I got shafted with these numbers. Anyway, so I came out, and this car, literally, like, we live on a corner of a street. So there's an intersection right on by our house. So you can, the intersection, we live on the corner of the street. So the street comes around our house. And what happened was this car came in right through the corner and just ran over. We have like a little fence in the front of the house, right? Like a little, just a really not good fence. It's like not really great for like keeping people out or any of that, because it's kind of small, and it's just kind of an older kind of frail fence, right? and the car just drove through that fence. It drove over the sidewalk into our fence and into maybe like 5 feet, no, more like 10 feet. Yeah, more like 10 feet into our property. And we have like a pretty sizable front lot kind of thing, like a front space of cement where you can park our cars. It's pretty big. We can fit 4 cars comfortably in it, and we can really squeeze 5 cars if we really wanted to into the lot, in our front lot. So it's pretty big, right? And so the car drove in like 10 feet into our property, and my mom had her SUV parked in the lot, and it was kind of like the most exposed of the cars, right? The other cars are kind of nestled in into the lot, kind of further away from the street. And the car literally, like, it missed the back of my mom's SUV by like an inch, like literally probably like a finger of width. It was very, very close. And when I came close to examine how close the car actually got, I could not believe my eyes. They got super close to just totally totaling my mom's car. And that was very surprising. I was like, yo, this guy barely missed our car. Thank God, because we're gonna have to struggle with insurance and proving that he was actually at fault, which probably wouldn't have been that bad, because the guy was clearly not right. Whatever he was doing, he was just not right. So basically they took our reports. I talked for a little bit to the police. I told them what I heard and this and that. They were like, okay, we'll get on the case. You guys might hear some like tow trucks coming in, some people talking. It's just gonna be us taking care of things, this and that. Because it was late. It's actually really late. It was maybe like past 10 for sure, 10 p.m. And by the time the cops came, probably 10:30. So you're gonna be there till like the early morning, right? Like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., just doing their thing. And so that's the reason why the car sounded like it drove into my mom's and dad's room, was because the car drove into. So my mom and dad's room is like to the rightmost side of the lot, which is where the car actually drove in, right? So if it had driven in 10-15 more feet, it would have actually driven into my mom and dad's room, like actually into it. So that's why it sounded like it came from their room, was because the car was literally pointing in the direction. That's the direction in which it was driving. So that's why it sounded like that. And so over time, I was actually there when this happened. A dude, the supposed owner of the car, comes through, right? He's like freaking out. He's like, oh my god, that's my car. That's my car. I forgot exactly what he said aside from that, but he was just claiming that it was his car, right? He was like freaking out, like, oh my god, you found my car, this and that. And then the police started talking to him. He's like, hey, who are you? Is this your car, this and that? And they're kind of confused as to who he was and why he was there. And so he was like, no, yeah, that's my car. And the police were asking him, oh, so this is your car? He was like, yeah, that's my car. And they were just asking him, okay, how did your car get into this guy's property? And so the guy, basically the story that this guy gave them. So my first impression of this guy was not very good, because he looked kind of out of it, but more not in a kind of like how do I say this, like suspicious looking way. More like he seemed, how do I say this, like very subtly, he seemed like not in the right state of mind. So he seemed kind of off. I couldn't really put my finger, even today I can't really put my finger on it, but he just seemed kind of off, you know? When you get that feeling about a guy, he didn't seem dangerous or anything. He was actually quite short and he was very skinny, but something seemed very off about him. And so what he claimed was that, and my mom told me this too, she was like, oh yeah, this guy's not right, he's a little the proper term, when I say this word, I mean the proper term. She said he's a little retarded in the sense that mentally retarded, kind of. He seems like not quite there, like he struggles kind of mentally. He's kind of slow mentally, right? But she was using the proper term, not just insulting him. The proper term is mentally retarded, right? He's not fully developed mentally. Just want to get that clear. I'm not insulting the guy. I'm just saying he genuinely didn't seem all there mentally. So we had our suspicions about the guy. He was claiming that someone stole his car, and that the guy stole his car and drove into our property. That was the story that he gave the police. And right off the bat, I could tell that the police kind of were like, okay, like, that's probably not possible, but that's the story you're giving us, so sure, we'll give it a go. We'll investigate stuff and we'll see if you're right. And so he claimed that I think at a stop sign, he described this is so funny because the description that he gave of the guy that supposedly stole his car, which my mom and me, by the way, did not buy. We did not buy that story. We were just like, that's totally not real. That's a lie. Like, you're the one that drove into our property. But obviously, he is innocent until proven guilty, right? They never assume that the guy's guilty. They always assume he's innocent until they can prove that he's guilty. That's just how it goes. And so, he described the guy that stole his car as a tall black dude. Okay, so that's also negative points for him, because when you think of when you try to lie on the spot, you're gonna think of things that come easy to your head to lie with, right? Your tendencies are gonna come out, and obviously, you know, in the world, it shouldn't be like this, but people are prejudicial, right? So what race do they associate with first when associating with crime? Dark people, you know, black people. It's just how it is, right? So we were just like, okay, of course, this guy's saying that, you know, a tall black dude stole his car, so that's probably not real, right? That's probably not true. Obviously, he's gonna say he's black. He's making assumptions. That's totally made up on the spot. I can tell just by the fact that he had to say that it was a black guy. He couldn't have said Hispanic, you know, white, or any other race. Like, he had to say black. So that kind of sealed it in for us that this guy was lying. So he gives them the story that, okay, we're gonna look into it. We're gonna get a detective out here. We're gonna take prints. We're gonna examine the car thoroughly, and we're gonna see what's up. Who actually drove this car into the property, and who's guilty for this. And I left because I just couldn't be asked. I didn't want to be around just forever, just waiting for them to actually figure it out. So I went inside and went to sleep. It was probably like 11 p.m., 11:30, around there. I was tired, so I went to sleep. The next morning, I get up, and I wasn't there for the investigation. I was there when the tow truck came in, and they were kind of taking care of things. So I went to sleep, and then the next morning, I get up, and my mom gives me the whole spiel, the whole story of what happened next, right? So this is what she told me. She said that the detective rolled up, and he did his investigation, right? But I think what she said, it was before the investigation, the guy, he was probably like, he was small and he was frail looking, so I would say his body was like of a 17-year-old's, but he legitimately, I could tell that he was one of those younger looking 21-year-olds or 20-year-olds or 22-year-olds, right? They're just small, so they look younger, right? So she said that the detective rolled up, did his investigation, but before he could finish his investigation and actually collect the prints and everything, that the kid confessed, right? He looked very nervous. He was there. He was very nervous. I don't have any more stamina, so I'm just gonna chill here while I finish my story. And so he confessed the story, and he was there. He was looking very nervous with his family. Like, apparently his family lives down the street from us. Like, his aunt and uncle or something like that would live right by us. So he was there with them, kind of crying into their chest, kind of like, you know, kind of letting out his feelings about the whole thing, because obviously his car drove into our property. It wasn't a very good situation, and if he was guilty, it was worse. He was worse off, right? There were going to be consequences for what he did. And so he confesses to the detectives. He was like, yeah, it was me. And basically the detectives laughed at him, and they were kind of like not making fun of him, but they were kind of like, oh, okay, we knew it, you know. I knew it from the beginning. He was a pretty bad liar, I'm not gonna lie. When he was lying to the cops, I was just like, dude, this guy's not doing a very good job of lying, right? So my mom said, I'm not sure how they laughed because I wasn't there, but the detectives, dude, I have such a bad stutter. The detectives basically humored him and laughed at him, and they basically were just like, okay, we knew it. And I don't know what happened. I don't even know to this day whether we got insurance money or what happened with that. But that got settled eventually, and they towed the car. So we had a half standing fence for like the longest time, just sitting there and just reminding us of what had just happened. But yeah, aside from that, that's all that happened pretty much. That's all I remember about the occasion. So that's pretty much the occasion, the time that a car drove into our property and almost drove into my parents' room. I was very, very genuinely scared for my parents' safety. I legit thought that car was like just deep into our room, and just that I was gonna run in and I was gonna see just a giant gaping hole in my parents' room with a car just into it, and someone in the car freaking out, and my parents freaking out even more. I was genuinely scared. So that was wild. That was the first time that ever happened to me. And pretty unique experience, not gonna lie. So it's been 20 minutes here, up right around that time. I'm gonna wrap things up. This is just a quick story. Grinding and chilling, you know how it goes now on this channel. If you've seen my past couple story times, you know how it's gonna be. You can just chill here, listen to my story. I have more coming, of course, other more juicy ones as well. This is just a little taste of something kind of unique that's happened in my life. And I'm also going to talk about more kind of emotionally intense, kind of not controversial, but kind of deep topics, I'm not scared to talk about that, especially when I've had personal experiences with that kind of thing. Especially, well, I'll give you guys a sneak peek. I'm going to be talking about mental health in the future and my experience with mental health, because I have suffered from certain mental health issues, and I really wanted to get that story out there for you guys, just to kind of let the people know that they're not alone. And I have actually gone through my own journey of mental growth, mental health, learning to deal with mental health issues, and how to live your life, and possibly, even if it's possible for you guys, overcome the mental health issues that you're facing. So stay tuned for that. I'm definitely going to talk about that. For now, this is story time number 3. Thank you guys for sticking around. If you want to see more content, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to like the video if I'm doing a good job. If you think I can improve, then go ahead and leave a comment. Tell me how I can improve. Feel free to also, if you really like this content and think your friend is gonna also like this kind of content, this kind of story time, share the video. Of course I don't mind. I'm the YouTuber, right? I want you guys to share the video. But if you really want to, you can like the video, as I said, to let me know, give me some feedback, leave a comment, and subscribe. For now, I am out. My name is Grubs SQ, and I will see you on the next video. See you guys.